This feels really nice too. And you could use a second blanket or pillow below your head. So you just kind of lie back like this. Right, so your chest is lifted, and if it's a blanket, it's coming out underneath your armpits here. Your arms could be open, or they could rest wherever it feels best. But if you can open them, that's when you'll really get this big opening across your chest and your shoulders. Yeah, you can also, your legs could be straight if you prefer, or you can keep them bent and just let the inner knees lean against one another with the feet wide, like so. So just find the position that works best for you right now. Take your time getting into it. I'm going to use the blocks. And once you get set up in there, you could try taking just a couple sighs. And letting go of any tension that you might not even know you're holding tension. So sometimes when you take a sigh, it just helps to invite all of that to release. And notice all the places that you are making contact with the floor and with whatever props you're using for your chest opener. And noticing how your mind feels right now. Just if it's busy, if it's calm, if it's somewhere in between. And then you could begin to feel your breath expanding in your rib cage with your rib cage lifted like this. And as you open up your thoracic spine a little bit more, make it more flexible over time, then you'll actually be able to get a bigger breath and a more efficient breath. Because, of course, your lungs, as you know, are housed inside your rib cage here. And if the muscles of your upper back or between your ribs are tight, then the lungs aren't able to fully expand. Good. So you can use your natural breath or a pursed lip exhale, or you can use your ujjayi breathing, which is where you can hear the sound in the back of your throat. And you're getting every last bit of air out. Good. And now let's take away, or you don't have to take away the head block or blanket, but you can if you're comfortable with it. I always bend my knees for this. So make sure your knees are bent. And then I'm going to take this away, but you could also keep it there and just put your hands behind your head, kind of interlacing the fingers. Now, you might find that if you're using a blanket, you might want to roll it up tighter so you have a bigger opening. For me, I'm actually going to lift my block up. I want it a little higher now. I'm going to set it back down. Remember, it's below the upper back, not the mid or low back. And then as I inhale, I'm going to open up the elbows, letting my neck relax, cradling my head opening the elbows as I lean back as far as you want to. And then as you exhale, think about moving the ribs down in front to curl up. You're not coming off the block or anything, and you're not cranking on your neck. It's more about just feeling this connection that to initiate the movement, you begin the exhale, and these front ribs move down. And the top of your head points toward the ceiling when you're coming up. Let's try a couple more of those. This kind of opening up the upper back. Good. And then when you come up, if you're on blocks, you might want to put your forearms down. If you're on a blanket, you could just roll to your side, move it out of the way, and then come onto your back with your knees bent. You could always have your neck propped up with a blanket. And just move your shoulder blades down away from your ears. Notice the back of your head wherever it's touching floor or blanket. And then following the breath in, feeling your umbrella breath. So feeling the rib cage expand three-dimensionally, especially the lower rib cage. And then a long exhale. And then inhaling, opening the arms wide and widening the feet. And as you exhale, just begin to let the knees windshield wiper side to side here. Rolling over your feet. Your head could turn to look toward the way that your knees are going or the opposite way. And then when you come up toward the center, we're going to come onto one side. It doesn't really matter which side. And take your bottom leg straight and your top knee onto a prop. So it could be a pillow or block. If you're using a block, you could put it on the middle height if that works. And then your bottom hand holding the knee. So we've done this one a lot in the past couple months. I'm going to take the top hand or the same hand as top knee and place the hand behind your head. And now as you inhale, you're opening that elbow, that elbow that's the one behind your head, as close to the floor as you can get it. You're just opening it up and facing your nose and your chest toward the ceiling. And then as you exhale, you're curling the elbow around the ear. And I'm actually going to lift my head off the floor and round the upper back, taking the elbow. For me, it comes down to the floor. It doesn't need to, though. You just go as far as you want to over to the side there. And then you inhale, place the head back down, open up the elbow toward the floor again, and repeat. So you can decide how it feels best to do this for you. You might find that you don't want to lift the head when you bring the elbow around. You might just want to bring the elbow around. But if you feel like you have more mobility or want to increase the mobility, you might actually lift the head off the floor so my forehead comes down to the floor on the side as well. Relax your jaw as you do this. And now the next time that you come down to the floor or, face the ceiling, just stay there if it feels okay. And it's opening up that elbow. If you need to let go with the arm, of course you can. Your knee, I didn't mention this, but the knee was supposed to stay solid on the block the whole time. And just take a couple of umbrella breaths here. Trying to expand both sides of your rib cage on the inhale. And a long exhale. And then again. Good. And then slowly roll onto your back. And before switching over to the other side, just straighten yourself out. Take an inhale and an exhale. And also just let your head rock side to side, noticing how your neck feels. How stiff is it? My neck is super stiff because I slipped in the hallway here. And I didn't hurt myself, but I just jarred my whole body. So I can really feel my neck. So I'm just going to noticing how much range I have side to side. Good. And then you can flip over to the other side. I'm going to spin around so you can still see me, or I can still see you. Remember that your top knee goes onto the prop, bottom leg is straight, bottom arm comes across to hold the knee. So that's kind of just keeping the knee there, and then top hand behind head, and then you can just begin whenever you are ready. Inhaling, opening up the elbow, and exhale, rounding the spine, lifting the head, coming around, elbow toward floor, and again. And you might notice one side feels different than the other. Mine does. Good. And then whenever you're ready, you can stay open if that feels okay. Taking some umbrella breaths. Good. And then as you're ready, can roll onto your back. Notice the two sides, both legs could be bent. Follow your breath in. Good. And out. Good. And now let's straighten out the legs and reach your arms overhead. Inhale, reaching through your arms and reaching through your heels. And exhale, bring your right knee in and just give it a squeeze. Good. Inhale, tucking your chin down, and exhale, curling up towards your knee with your head and shoulders. And exhale, lower down. Good. Placing your foot down, let's straighten out the leg on the floor. And inhale, stretch arms over, reach through the heels. And exhale, bring the left knee in. Give it a squeeze. Inhale, tuck the chin down, and exhale, curl up. Inhale, lowering back down. Exhale, foot to the floor, straighten it out. Let's do one more each side. So inhale, stretch arms up and over. Exhale, right knee in. Inhale, tuck the chin down. Make a double chin, keeping that as you lift and exhale. Inhale, lower. Keeping the double chin. Exhale, foot to the floor, straighten out the leg. One more time. On the other side, inhale, arms up and over, reaching through your heels. Exhale, left knee in. Inhale, tuck the chin. Exhale, curl up. Inhale, lower. Exhale, straighten out your leg. Just kind of let your head rock side to side. Good. And now let's bring the feet hips distance in parallel with the knees bent. And if you happen to have a block, let's put it between the knees. And if you don't, you could roll up your blanket or towel and put it between the knees in a neat little package so you can squeeze, okay? And then just move your shoulder blades down your back, arms relaxed out at your sides somewhere. And first we're just going to inhale and lift the heels off the floor. So the balls of the feet are down. And exhale, place the heels down and lift the balls of the feet off the floor. And repeat. Inhale, lift the heels. Exhale, lift the toes. You're just rocking back and forth. You might need to play around with where your feet are in relation to your hips in order to do that. Just kind of warming up the ankles a little bit. Okay, now the next time that the heels lift, let's leave it there. And so get your feet, the balls of your feet, to a place where you feel like you could press into them. And then squeeze the block between your knees. So you might need to move it or squeeze your blanket, whatever you got. So your calf muscles are probably turning on. They might be cramping up. You just come out if they get cramped up, okay? And your arms still out at your sides. Now let's inhale, press down at the ball of the big toe and see if you can engage your glutes and lift your hips up off the floor, pressing into the back of your head. Good, and exhale, lower back down. Good. Now, if you're getting a hamstring cramp, you can come out too and stretch it out. Okay, we're going to do that again. So press down through the ball of your big toe. Inhale as you squeeze your glutes together. Squeeze your glutes, engage them. Squeeze the block and lift the hips. Exhale down. Good. And one more. Good. Now, as you come down this time, give the calves a break. Take the block away for a moment. Let's just bring one leg in, hold behind the hamstring. You could roll the ankle or you could stretch the leg up, whatever feels better to you. And then if you're rolling, roll in the opposite direction as well. Oh, that feels good. And then just put your foot down and the same thing on the other leg. Keep breathing. Stay with your umbrella breath. Good. And then place that foot down. And we're going to come back to the object between the knees. Okay. Getting your feet to a place where you could lift the heels again. Arms relaxed out to the sides. Inhale, lift the heels and the hips up. And this time, let's try to stay there. Now, as you do this, let's really engage the glutes. You can touch them to see if they're engaged. And let's also try to engage the abdominal muscles, especially the lower ones. And those might be hard to turn on. So squeeze that block between your knees and try to turn on these lower abdominals, like down by the pubic bone. Feel everything just engaging. Again, if you get a cramp, just come out. Relax your jaw. Good. And then slowly lower the hips. Take away the block. Let's just take the soles of the feet together, opening up the knees for a moment, and take a couple of breaths there. Good. And then slowly bringing the knees up. Let's bring the knees in. So bring both knees in. You can hold above or below the knees and just rock a bit side to side. Good. Now coming back to center, but keeping both knees in, you can inhale, and we're going to inhale and take the arms overhead and stretch the legs up toward the ceiling, pressing your low back down toward the floor. And then as you exhale, bring the arms down at your sides and just bend the knees a little bit. Now, if this is too much for your low back, if you have low back issues, you could have one foot on the floor as you do this. We're going to keep going. So you inhale, arms overhead, straighten legs up. And exhale, slowly bend the knees a little bit, arms at your side, and bring the knees away from your belly as you do that, so your core has to turn on. I'm going to show what it looks like doing it with just one leg. Okay, so I'd have a foot on the floor, and I would just do the same thing. Okay, and that'll be some core work too, especially if you're moving the knee away. If you're doing that, you can switch sides. If you're doing both legs, just keep going and see if maybe when you bend the knees a little bit, you can bring them further away from your chest. When you straighten them, they're just going up toward the ceiling. Head. All right. Now, next time you bend those knees, let's give them a squeeze or hold beneath them. And if you want to, you can rock yourself up or you can roll to your side and come up to you. Okay. That's coming all the way up. You can come onto your hands and knees, or you could, of course, be on forearms as well. And just go through some cats and cows. Notice how your spine feels. Good. Now, next time you roll out, we're just going to bring the arms down, out in front to puppy dog pose, bringing the forehead down between the arms. Now, if you can have the arms straight, just keep them straight. Really plant the fingers, stretch the hips up and back. And as you take an inhale, just feeling the rib cage expand three-dimensionally. Good. And then just bringing your hands back by your head, you can lift your head off the floor. And if you're not in front of your chair, like me, I'm not in front of my chair, I'm just going to come over to it. So just kind of kneeling in front of the chair. You might need some padding in different spots. So what I'm going to do, I need padding because I'm on this hard floor. And I don't really need it below my elbows, but some people might need it below their elbows on their chair too. Okay, so I'm going to put it below my knees. Don't need that. And I'm going to do, I'll fix the camera in a second, but I'm going to put my elbows on the chair and I've got my palms together, right? And then from here, I could really back bend because my back is bendy, but instead I'm going to draw my ribs in. In fact, I'm going to pad my elbows a little bit here. They do hurt on this wood. Boom. And what I want you to feel is if you press down into those elbows, notice that you can lift up, right? So if you're here, right, and I press into my elbows, it lifts me up, right? So just feel that motion. Okay. Feel those muscles that work to lift you up. And you might need to, I'm going to need to back up my knees. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to exhale and let my head come down between the arms just as much as feels safe in my shoulders. But I'm going to keep some pressure into the elbows. So I'm not just stretching into the ligaments of my shoulders, but instead I'm using strength from my arms. And if you feel any pinching around the bicep or just kind of around here, around the deltoid, then you should back off a little bit and lift a little higher, okay? Stretching the hips back, drawing the ribs in. One more breath. Good. And then just slowly press down into those elbows and placing your hands on the chair. You can widen the knees and feet. We're going to be popping into a squat and holding it. So you're going to widen your feet and your knees a little wider than your hips. And it's just the toddler get up. So what I'll do is I'll inhale, I'll exhale, pop into a squat, right? You can have your padding there so that when you come back down, and you can put your hands on the chair to help lower back down, right? Or you can do this with the floor, right? So you can put your hands by your knees, inhale, exhale, pop into the squat. Now, be sure that you guys are not reaching your chin forward like this and rounding your spine, right? Instead, use the chair to help if that's happening. So if you find that when you're doing this, you end up being like this, watch. right, then that's too low for you. So you want to use the chair so you keep your spine in neutral the whole time as you're doing that. Just see where that position is for you. Several times just to work the legs, work your feet a little bit. And then this last time, let's hold. Good. And your shoulder blades are down your back. Your arms are not up. Your shoulders, your hands are not as high as your shoulders. They're way lower. Yeah, good. Pressing down into the feet. Inhale. And then exhale, stand. Good. Inhale is roll the shoulders up by your ears. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. As you exhale, take them down your back.